This is a photograph of Franz Stangl there in the white jacket. In his role as commandant of Treblinka, he's speaking in this photo with his deputy, Kurt Franz. Stangl essentially begins his career with the criminal police. That's the investigative arm of the Austrian police. Stangl's story is really a cautionary tale of how an ordinary person gets involved in Nazi criminality. Franz Stangl essentially runs afoul of his boss in the Linz Gestapo. And right about this time, in 1941, he actively cultivates recruitment from the Nazi euthanasia program, sometimes called the T4 program. The euthanasia program targeted disabled individuals living in institutions for murder. This euthanasia or T4 program murders about 250,000 institutionalized patients in Germany and Austria. The vast majority of those are German Aryans or German non-Jews. And as I said, Stangl actively initiates recruitment with this organization so he can get out of hot water with his chief at the Linz Gestapo. And during this lull in euthanasia operations, Stangl is again confronted with a choice. He can either go back to the Linz Gestapo and the boss with which he had such acrimony, or he can go enter another killing operation, the Operation Reinhardt, which targets specifically the Jews of German-occupied Poland for murder. And again, Stangl makes the choice to join a killing operation. He's sent to the Lublin district of Poland, where he's first the commandant of the Sobibor killing center. Sobibor gasses about 167,000 Jews during the time of its operation. And although Stangl clearly had never killed a prisoner himself, he is a very capable administrator, and very shortly after his arrival in Sobibor, he streamlines the killing process in Sobibor. So he may not have actually killed any of the prisoners, but clearly he has blood on his hands from his efforts at Sobibor. His administrative skills catch the eye of people who are running Operation Reinhardt, and he's very quickly transferred to Treblinka, another of the Operation Reinhardt sites near Warsaw. It's interesting to note that Stangl never really mingles with prisoners at either Sobibor or Treblinka. He merely shows up at the arrival of transports, usually dressed in a white linen jacket, which you see him in here, and carrying a whip, an affectation that earned him the name White Death. From some of the Sonderkommandos who regularly came into contact with him, prisoners who helped process the bodies of the victims at Treblinka. Stangl is ultimately transferred to the former Yugoslavia for anti-partisan warfare in 1943. And after the war, he escapes from Austria, where he is known and wanted as a war criminal, and he escapes to South America and ends up settling in Sao Paulo, Brazil, where he works in a Volkswagen factory. He's finally located in Brazil, and he's extradited to West Germany, to the Federal Republic of Germany, where he's tried and convicted of crimes against humanity and war crimes, and sentenced to life imprisonment. And in the early months of his imprisonment, Stangl agrees to an interview. Finally, in the last interviews with Sereni, he admits to his guilt, the deaths of thousands and thousands of individuals. And it's very interesting that 19 hours after this final interview with Guido Sereni, he himself dies of a heart attack in prison. The other takeaway that I always carry with me is one of the things he says to Guido Sereni in his interviews with her while he's sitting in prison in West Germany. He tries to explain to Guido Sereni how an ordinary person like himself could become a criminal. And he says it's like this. In Brazil, where he was living, there were a lot of slaughterhouses because Brazil and Argentina are known for beef production. And he says the first time you go to a slaughterhouse, you're horrified by all the images that you see, and you vow to never eat steak again. But after a few visits to such a slaughterhouse, steak tastes just fine. And I think there's something in that insight that Stangl brings, that people like him, who are ordinary individuals, through repetition of task, become inured to the killing process, and that these individuals who perhaps never earned these individuals who never harmed a single soul in their civilian life before the war, or never had a traffic ticket, suddenly become criminals because they're inured to this killing process and the mechanization of killing.